She found a baby abandoned in the rain and saved her life. What she didn't know, the infant was the daughter of the city's most powerful mafia boss. And he would stop at nothing to get her back. The rain fell like bullets on the cracked pavement, turning the back alley into a river of filth. Amara pulled her threadbare shawl tighter around her shoulders, her fingers numb from hours of selling vegetables in the marketplace. $53. That's all she'd made today. Barely enough for rent, let alone food. Her stomach growled as she hurried past the dumpsters, eager to reach her apartment before the storm worsened. Thunder cracked overhead, and that's when she heard it, a sound that didn't belong to the rain or the wind. A cry. Thin, desperate, and unmistakably human. Amara stopped, her worn shoes splashing in a puddle. Keep walking, her survival instinct whispered. Nothing good happens in dark alleys. You know this. But the cry came again, weaker this time, like a candle about to go out. She turned back. Between two rusted dumpsters, barely visible in the shadows, was a bundle wrapped in fabric. Amara's heart hammered as she approached, her phone's flashlight trembling in her hand. The fabric was unlike anything she'd ever seen, deep crimson silk with gold threading that seemed to shimmer even in the rain. Her breath caught when she pulled back the edge. A baby. A newborn, by the looks of it, with skin too pale and lips tinged blue. Oh God, Amara whispered, dropping to her knees without caring about the filthy water soaking through her skirt. She scooped the bundle into her arms, and the baby's eyes, dark and unfocused, flickered open for just a moment before closing again. The child was freezing. Dying, maybe. Amara looked around frantically. The alley was empty, the distant sounds of traffic muffled by the storm. Who would leave a baby here? Who would wrap a child in fabric that probably cost more than Amara made in 6 months and then abandon her in the trash? She noticed something else, a crest embroidered into the corner of the blanket. An eagle with spread wings, holding a snake in its talons. The stitching was exquisite, professional. This wasn't some random piece of cloth, it was a family symbol. Rich people, Amara thought bitterly. They throw away everything, even their children. The baby whimpered, and the sound pierced straight through Amara's chest. She'd never had children of her own. Never had the money, the partner, or the foolish hope required to bring a life into her miserable existence. But holding this tiny, fragile thing, feeling its shallow breaths against her chest, something ancient and fierce awakened inside her. "I've got you," she murmured, tucking the baby close to her body heat. "I've got you now." The walk to her apartment building should have taken 5 minutes. In the storm, carrying a dying infant, it took 15. By the time Amara kicked open the door to her studio apartment, a glorified closet with a hot plate and a mattress on the floor, her arms were shaking from exhaustion. She laid the baby on her bed and quickly peeled away the wet blanket. Underneath, the child wore a onesie that probably cost more than Amara's entire wardrobe, pure white cotton with delicate lace trim. There was another detail that made Amara's blood run cold, a hospital bracelet still attached to the baby's tiny wrist. She squinted at the smudged writing. Baby girl Moretti, born 11:47 p.m. Today's date. This child was less than 12 hours old. Amara's mind raced. Someone had taken this baby directly from the hospital and dumped her in an alley to die. This wasn't abandonment. This was attempted murder. The baby's breathing was shallow, her tiny chest barely moving. Amara grabbed every towel she owned, wrapping the infant in layers before holding her close to the small space heater she only used in emergencies. The electricity bill would be devastating, but that didn't matter now. "Come on, little one," she whispered, rubbing the baby's tiny hands between her palms. "Come on. Fight." For 20 agonizing minutes, Amara worked, warming, soothing, praying to God she'd stopped believing in years ago. And then, like a miracle, the baby's color began to return. The blue tinge faded from her lips. Her breathing deepened. She opened her eyes, truly opened them this time, and looked directly at Amara. In that moment, something shifted in the universe. Amara felt it like a physical thing, like chains wrapping around her heart and soul. This child had chosen her. Or maybe she'd chosen this child. Either way, there was no going back now. Lily, Amara said softly, the name appearing in her mind as if it had always been there. I'll call you Lily. The baby's tiny fingers wrapped around Amara's thumb with surprising strength, and despite everything, despite the danger she surely didn't understand yet, despite her poverty and her fear, Amara smiled. Outside, the rain continued to fall. Somewhere in the city, someone was probably searching for this baby. Someone dangerous, if the expensive fabric and hospital bracelet meant anything. Amara should call the police. She should call child services. She should do 100 responsible things that would get this child back to wherever she belonged. But as she looked down at Lily's peaceful face, finally warm and safe, Amara made a decision that would change both their lives forever. Just for tonight, she whispered. I'll keep you safe just for tonight. Tomorrow, we'll figure out what to do. It was a lie, and some part of her knew it. Some part of her already understood that she would kill to protect this child. That she would die for her, if necessary. Tomorrow would bring answers, and danger beyond anything Amara could imagine. But tonight, in her tiny apartment with rain drumming against the single window, a poor woman and a stolen baby slept soundly, neither knowing that the most powerful criminal in the city was tearing the world apart searching for his missing daughter. The storm raged on, washing away evidence, covering tracks, buying them precious hours of peace before the real nightmare began. Lily's scream woke Amara at dawn. She jolted upright, heart racing, before realizing the baby was simply hungry. Amara had nothing, no formula, no bottles, nothing an infant needed. She'd spent the last of her money on rice and beans that a newborn couldn't eat. Shoo, shoo. Amara soothed, rocking Lily gently. Give me a minute, sweet girl. Just 1 minute. She wrapped Lily in a clean shirt and rushed to her neighbor's door. Mrs. Chun had 3 grandchildren. Surely she'd have something. But as Amara raised her hand to knock, voices filtered through the thin walls of the adjacent apartment. Missing heiress, they're saying it was Mr. Kapoor from 3B, his voice hushed but excited. All over the news. Rich family, very powerful. What kind of monster steals a baby from a hospital? Mrs. Rodriguez replied. They're offering a reward. $50,000. Amara's blood turned to ice. She pressed herself against the wall, Lily quiet in her arms as if sensing danger. The police are searching everywhere, Mr. Kapoor continued. Going door to door in some neighborhoods. They think someone poor took her. You know, for ransom or because they're desperate, Mrs. Rodriguez interrupted. But listen, if anyone here had that baby, they'd throw them in prison and lose the key. The family has connections, I heard. Real connections, if you understand me. Mafia? Sure. Don't say that word. But yes. That kind of connections. Amara backed away from the door slowly, carefully, each step measured. Her mind spun. The baby wasn't just rich. She was untouchable. Connected to people who could make Amara disappear without a trace. And now everyone was looking for someone exactly like her, poor, desperate, and foolish enough to get involved. If she came forward now, would they believe she'd just found Lily? Or would they see a broke street vendor with a baby worth millions and assume the worst? She had no witnesses, no proof. Just a newborn wrapped in expensive silk and her own word, which, in her neighborhood, was worth nothing. Back in her apartment, Amara's hands trembled as she mixed sugar water, the only thing she had, and used a clean cloth to let Lily suck the liquid. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough. The baby needed real formula, real care. But getting those things meant exposure. It meant questions she couldn't answer. She looked down at Lily, who gazed back with those impossibly dark eyes. Already, the baby seemed stronger than last night. Already, she seemed to trust Amara in a way that broke and rebuilt her heart simultaneously. What have I done? Amara whispered. What have I gotten us into? A knock at the door made her jump. She froze, clutching Lily tighter. Amara? Mrs. Chen's voice. Are you okay? I heard crying. Every muscle in Amara's body tensed. Mrs. Chun was kind but chatty, the worst combination possible right now. If she saw the baby, if she noticed the expensive blanket, if she remembered the news.
I've seen it.
Amara called out, trying to keep her voice steady. I'm not feeling well. Food poisoning, I think. A pause. Do you need anything? Soup? No, thank you. I just need to rest. Footsteps retreated, but Amara knew she'd bought only temporary safety. In a building this cramped, with walls this thin, secrets didn't last. Someone would hear Lily cry. Someone would ask questions. Someone would remember the news and the reward money and the terrible things people did when they were desperate. She was desperate too, but her desperation was different now. It wasn't about money anymore. Amara walked to her tiny window and looked out at the waking city. Somewhere out there, Lily's real family was searching. Somewhere, powerful people were pulling strings and making threats and destroying anyone who got in their way. The smart thing, the only sane thing, would be to bundle Lily up and leave her at a fire station or hospital. Anonymous drop-off, no questions asked. But as Lily's small hand gripped her finger, as those trusting eyes watched her face, Amara understood a terrible truth. She was already too attached. Already too in love. Already willing to burn the world down rather than hand this child over to people who might hurt her again. Because someone had tried to kill Lily, once already. The hospital bracelet, the alley, the timing, it all pointed to something darker than simple kidnapping. Someone wanted this baby dead. And until Amara knew who and why, she couldn't risk trusting anyone. Just a few more days, she promised Lily, kissing her forehead. I'll keep you hidden just until I figure out what's really happening. Then we'll do the right thing. Another lie. Each one came easier than the last. Outside, police sirens wailed in the distance, and Amara wondered how long she had before her kindness became the biggest mistake of her life. Amara had no choice but to go to work. Staying home would raise suspicion, and she needed money desperately. Formula wasn't free. She'd left Lily sleeping in a drawer padded with blankets, hidden beneath her bed. It wasn't safe, but nothing about the situation was. The marketplace buzzed with unusual energy. Police cars lined the streets, and officers showed photos to vendors. Amara's stomach churned as she set up her vegetable cart, hands shaking so badly she nearly dropped a crate of tomatoes. Terrible thing, isn't it? Said Rosa, the flower vendor next to her. A baby, stolen right from the hospital. What's this world coming to? Amara forced her voice to stay casual. Have they said anything about who took her? They think it's someone from the south side. You know, our side. Rosa's expression darkened. Always blame the poor first. Like we're all criminals. Before Amara could respond, a black SUV rolled into the marketplace. Too sleek, too expensive for this neighborhood. The crowd parted instinctively, sensing danger the way animals sense predators. Two men stepped out, and silence rippled through the market like a stone dropped in still water. They wore dark suits that probably cost more than Amara made in a year. But it wasn't their clothes that frightened her. It was their eyes. Cold. Empty. The eyes of men who'd done terrible things without losing sleep. The taller one pulled out a photograph and held it up. Even from her cart, Amara could see it was a baby. Her baby. Lily. We're looking for this child, the man announced, his voice carrying unnaturally in the sudden quiet. He had an accent, Italian maybe. She was taken from her family. Someone here knows something. No one spoke. Vendors suddenly became very interested in their produce. The second man, shorter but broader, walked through the market slowly. He stopped at each stall, making eye contact with every vendor. When he reached Amara, her heart nearly stopped. His eyes locked onto hers. You see anything unusual last night? Anyone carrying a bundle? Anyone acting strange? Amara's mouth went dry. Up close, she could see a scar running down his cheek and something that looked like a gun holster beneath his jacket. And no, sir. I went straight home after closing. The storm, he smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Good cover for moving something valuable, isn't it? All that rain washing away evidence. I wouldn't know about that. He leaned closer, and Amara caught the scent of expensive cologne mixed with something metallic. Blood? Here's what you need to know, sweetheart. The family wants their baby back. They're offering a very generous reward for information. He paused, letting that sink in. But here's the important part. Anyone found hiding that child? Anyone who knows where she is and doesn't speak up? The taller man finished the thought, his voice carrying across the entire marketplace. They won't live long enough to spend any reward money. We're not the police. We don't do trials. We don't do mercy. A woman near the back whimpered. The shorter man's head snapped toward the sound like a shark sensing blood. Something you want to share, grandmother? The old woman shook her head frantically.
No. I'm scared.
For the baby. I hope you find her. So, do we, the man's smile widened. Because every hour she's missing, someone dies. That's how important this child is. That's how serious we are. He pulled out business cards, dropping them on carts as he walked back toward the SUV. Call that number if you see anything. Hear anything. Remember anything. Even the smallest detail might save your life. As the SUV drove away, the marketplace erupted in nervous chatter. Amara stood frozen, the business card burning in her hand like a hot coal. The number on it was simple, direct. All she'd have to do was dial it.
$52,000.
Her rent paid for years. Food, medicine, maybe even a future. All she had to do was give them Lily. Rosa leaned over, her voice low. Those weren't cops, Samara. Those were. I know what they were. Then you know whoever has that baby is as good as dead. Even if they found her by accident. Even if they were trying to do the right thing. Rosa touched Amara's arm gently. If you knew something, anything, you'd tell them, right? For your own safety. Amara looked at the business card, then at Rosa's worried face, then at the spot where the SUV had disappeared. Of course, she lied, her third lie in 2 days. Of course I would. But as she crushed the card in her fist, she knew the truth. She'd just seen the men who wanted Lily dead. And they were getting closer. Lily's fever started just after sunset. Amara had rushed home from the market, her earnings, barely $30, clutched in one hand, and a tin of formula she'd stolen from a corner store in the other. She'd never stolen anything in her life, but desperation made thieves of everyone. The moment she opened her apartment door, she knew something was wrong. Lily's cries weren't normal. They were weak, punctuated by terrible silence. No. Amara pulled the drawer from beneath the bed. Lily's skin burned to the touch, her tiny face flushed red.
Please, not this.
Not now. She mixed the formula with trembling hands, but Lily wouldn't drink. Her little head lolled to the side, lips barely moving. The baby who'd gripped her fingers so tightly just hours ago now lay limp in her arms. Amara pressed her hand to Lily's forehead. The heat was terrifying. Hospital. The word blazed in her mind. But hospitals meant questions, records, and possibly the men in suits. They were watching hospitals, they had to be. That's where Lily had been taken from.
Clinic.
The community clinic on Fletcher Street, small, understaffed, operating mostly on donations. Dr. Patel asked fewer questions there. He'd treated Amara once when she'd sliced her hand open and couldn't afford the ER. Maybe. Lily made a sound like a kitten drowning, and Amara's decision crystallized. She wrapped Lily in a plain towel, hiding the expensive blanket under her bed. Then she ran. Fletcher Street Clinic looked like it might collapse any moment, peeling paint, flickering lights, a door that didn't close properly. But inside, a nurse sat at the desk, middle-aged with kind eyes and tired shoulders. Please, Amara gasped. My baby. She's burning up. I don't have money, but please. The nurse, her name tag read Carmen, was already moving. Bring her here. How long has she had the fever? I don't, an hour? Maybe more? Amara couldn't think straight. Carmen unwrapped Lily on the examination table, her efficient hands checking pulse, temperature, breathing. She's severely dehydrated. When was she born? Amara's mind raced. 2 days ago. Home birth. Carmen's eyes flicked up, sharp and assessing. She'd heard that lie before. No prenatal care? We couldn't afford it. Carmen didn't sound convinced, but she didn't stop working. She started in 4-line in Lily's tiny arm with practice skill. Dr. Patel's with another patient. This'll bring her temperature down, but she needs antibiotics. Possible infection from. She paused, examining Lily more closely. This is a very healthy baby otherwise. Well-formed, good weight. Doesn't look like a complicated home birth. Does it matter? Amara's voice cracked. Can you help her or not? Carmen studied her for a long moment. Then she sighed. Wait here. She disappeared through a back door. Amara heard low voices, urgent discussion. Every second felt like an hour. She held Lily's free hand, watching the 4 drip slowly into her veins. Stay with me, Lily, she whispered. Please stay with me. Dr. Patel emerged, 60s, gray beard, eyes that had seen too much suffering. He examined Lily without speaking, then prepared a syringe. Antibiotics, he said simply. She'll need another dose tomorrow. Bring her back. I don't have. I know, he administered the injection. You don't have money. You don't have insurance. You don't have papers for this baby, his eyes met hers. What you do have is about 15 minutes before I'm obligated to report this. Amara's blood froze. You can't. I can and I should. That baby has a hospital bracelet mark on her wrist. I can see the indentation. She was born in a real hospital, not your apartment, he spoke quietly, urgently. Someone is looking for her. Someone with resources. Someone tried to kill her. The words burst out before Amara could stop them. I found her in an alley, left to die in the rain. I'm not a kidnapper. I'm trying to save her. Dr. Patel and Carmen exchanged glances. Something passed between them. Understanding, maybe, or doubt. If that's true, Carmen said slowly, you need real help. Police, social services. The men looking for her aren't police. Amara's voice dropped to barely a whisper. They came to the market today. They said anyone hiding her would die. Dr. Patel's expression darkened. What men? The kind who don't make empty threats. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Dr. Patel pulled out a prescription pad. Fever should break in a few hours. Keep her hydrated. Come back if it gets worse, he handed Amara the paper. And get far away from here.
Fast.
Why are you helping me? Because I believe you, he glanced at Lily. And because whoever left that baby to die deserves what's coming to them. Amara gathered Lily carefully, the 4 already removed. As she reached the door, Carmen called out softly. That blanket she came with, get rid of it. The embroidery is distinctive. Amara turned. You recognized it? Carmen's face was grim. Everyone in this city knows the Moretti crest. And now someone knows you were here. Dante Moretti didn't sleep. He hadn't slept since they'd brought him the news 48 hours ago. His daughter was gone. The hospital administrator knelt on the marble floor of Dante's office, blood dripping from his nose. Around them, Dante's men stood silent, wolves waiting for their alpha's command. Explain it to me again, Dante said, his voice terrifyingly calm. Explain how my daughter vanishes from a private wing with armed guards at every entrance. Mr. Moretti, I swear, we've reviewed every camera, every access log. Dante's fist crashed into the man's jaw, sending him sprawling. You've reviewed nothing. Because someone erased the footage. Someone disabled the alarms. Someone walked past your guards like they were invisible. He grabbed the administrator by his collar, lifting him effortlessly. Which means someone inside helped them. Please, I have a family. So did I. Dante released him, and the man collapsed. Get out. You have 24 hours to find every staff member on duty that night. If even one is missing, you'll join them in the river. The administrator scrambled away. Dante turned to the wall of screens showing surveillance feeds across the city. Traffic cameras, security systems he'd hacked, police scanners. His empire had eyes everywhere, yet his daughter had vanished like smoke. Marco, his most trusted lieutenant, stepped forward. Boss, we have something. The clinic on Fletcher Street. A nurse reported a baby matching your daughter's description. Came in with a high fever last night. Dante's heart, which he'd thought had turned to stone, lurched. Alive.
Alive.
The woman who brought her, poor, scared, claimed home birth. But the nurse saw the hospital bracelet mark. Marco pulled up an image on his tablet. We pulled clinic records. No name given, paid cash. But, show me. The grainy security footage showed a woman rushing into the clinic. Thin, dark hair, maybe 30. She carried a bundle wrapped in a plain towel, but something about her desperation, her terror, caught Dante's attention. That's not the woman who took her, he said quietly. How do you know? Because whoever took my daughter would know her value. They'd have doctors on standby, secure locations prepared. This woman. He watched her frantic movements, the way she pleaded. She found her somewhere. Maybe saved her.
Marco frowned.
You want us to bring her in gently? I want you to find her before my brother does. Dante's jaw tightened. Because whoever has my daughter right now is the only thing keeping her alive. You really think it was Luca? Dante walked to the window, overlooking the city. Dawn painted the skyline in shades of blood and gold. My brother has always been ambitious. But I never thought. His voice cracked, just slightly. My own blood. My daughter's uncle. We have no proof. I have instinct. And every dead witness. Dante turned back, and Marco flinched at the murder in his eyes. Luca wanted my position. But the family rules are clear, leadership passes to my bloodline. As long as my daughter lives, he can't touch me. So he made sure she wouldn't. Then why dump her in an alley? Why not? Marco couldn't finish. Because disposing of an infant in our own territory leaves evidence. Better to make her disappear, blame it on hospital incompetence or ransom gone wrong. Dante's hands clenched. But he didn't count on someone finding her. Someone caring enough to risk everything.
A phone rang.
Marco answered, his face paling. Boss, we have a problem. Luca's men just hit the Fletcher Street clinic. They're questioning everyone. The nurse who made the report. Tell me she's alive. For now. But they're sweeping every apartment in a 5-block radius. If this woman is still in the area. She's not. Dante studied the security footage again, focusing on the woman's face. She's smarter than that. Dr. Patel warned her. I can see it in her body language when she leaves. She knows she's being hunted. So we're looking for a ghost. A poor woman with no identity, no digital footprint, hiding somewhere in a city of millions. Dante smiled, a terrible expression devoid of warmth.
No.
We're looking for someone desperate enough to steal formula, brave enough to risk a clinic, and foolish enough to love a stranger's child. He tapped the screen. Find every vendor in the South Side markets. Cross-reference with women living alone. She works with her hands. Look at the calluses. She's been poor her whole life. Look at her clothes, her shoes. She's invisible to people like us. That describes half the women in this city. Then we search half the city. Dante's voice turned to iron. And pray we find her before Luca does. Because if my brother gets to my daughter first, he didn't finish.
He didn't need to.
Outside, the city trembled. 2 monsters were hunting the same prey, and an innocent woman held the future of an empire wrapped in her arms. Amara jerked awake to the sound of footsteps in the hallway.
Heavy.
Deliberate.
Wrong.
It was past midnight. No one walked these halls at this hour. She lay frozen on her mattress, Lily sleeping peacefully beside her, finally recovered from the fever. The antibiotic had worked, but safety had been an illusion. The footsteps stopped, right outside her door. A voice, barely audible. This one? Check it. Amara's heart exploded into overdrive. She scooped Lily up silently, wrapping her in the towel, and looked around the cramped apartment. 1 door blocked. 1 window, 4th floor, but there was a fire escape. The doorknob rattled. She moved.
Fast.
Quiet. Years of poverty had taught her how to be invisible, how to move without sound. She cracked open the window as she heard something metallic scraping in the lock. They were picking it. The fire escape groaned under her weight, a scream of rusted metal that might as well have been a siren. Lily stirred but didn't cry, as if she understood they were playing a game of life and death. Behind her, the apartment door crashed open. "She's running." Amara didn't look back. She climbed upward instead of down. They'd expect her to flee to ground level. Her hands scraped against rust and pigeon droppings, but she kept moving. Lily pressed against her chest, tiny heartbeat racing against hers. She reached the roof access and yanked.
Locked.
There, a flashlight beam caught her from below. A man in black tactical gear was climbing after her, moving with the efficiency of someone trained to hunt. Amara looked across to the neighboring building. Maybe 6 feet away. A chasm that might as well have been a mile. The man was 3 floors below, and closing fast. She backed up on the fire escape landing, measuring the distance.
Impossible. Suicide.
The only option. "Don't move," the man shouted. "We just want to talk." Liars. Murderers. Amara saw it in the way he moved, the weapon holstered at his hip. These weren't Dante's men. She'd seen those at the market. These were different. Darker. The kind of men who disappeared bodies. She ran and jumped. For one infinite moment, she flew through empty air, Lily clutched against her chest, the street far below waiting to swallow them both. Her foot hit the neighboring roof's edge, barely. She pitched forward, rolling to protect Lily, her shoulder slamming into gravel and tar. Pain exploded through her body, but Lily was safe.
Silent.
Those dark eyes watching Amara, with complete trust. Impossible. She heard the man breathe from across the gap. He was radioing someone. Target jumped to the adjacent building. 4th Street corner. "We need backup." Amara didn't wait to hear more. She ran across the roof, found another fire escape, and descended 3 floors before entering through an unlocked window, someone's kitchen. An elderly man sat at the table, staring at her in shock. "Sorry," she gasped, already moving through his apartment to the front door. "Emergency." She burst into the hallway and took the stairs down, her legs screaming. Behind her, she heard boots thundering. They'd entered the building. 2nd floor. 1st floor. The lobby. 2 more men in black were entering through the front door. Amara pivoted and ran toward the back, finding a basement entrance she'd never noticed before. She plunged down into darkness, Lily finally starting to whimper from the chaos. The basement was a maze of storage units and ancient pipes, lit only by a few bare bulbs. She ducked behind a boiler, pressing herself into the shadows, and gently rocked Lily. "Sho, baby. Please, sho." Footsteps on the stairs. Flashlights cutting through the darkness. She came down here. Seal the exits. They were professional. Organized. They moved like soldiers, not thugs. Amara recognized military precision. She'd seen enough news footage of wars in distant countries to know what trained killers looked like.
Who were these people?
Why did they want Lily dead so badly? She heard them searching, methodical and patient. Eventually, they'd find her. Eventually. A hand clamped over her mouth from behind. Amara tried to scream, but another hand wrapped around Lily, pulling the baby away. She bit down hard, tasting blood, and spun around ready to fight with her last breath. "Quiet," a man hissed. "I'm not with them." In the dim light, she saw him. 40s, graying hair, a press credential hanging around his neck. He held Lily carefully, like he knew how to handle infants. "Jonah Reeves," he whispered. "Investigative journalist. I know why they want her dead. And I know you're the only thing keeping that baby alive." Above them, the hunters moved closer. "There's a service tunnel," Jonah said. "Leads to the street 2 blocks over. Come with me now, or we all die here." Amara had no reason to trust him, but she had no other options either. She nodded, and they disappeared into the darkness together. The service tunnel spat them out behind an abandoned warehouse, where the city's forgotten people gathered around burning trash cans. Amara's legs finally gave out, and she collapsed against a brick wall, pulling Lily back into her arms from Jonah. "Who are you really?" she demanded, though her voice had no strength left. Jonah lit a cigarette with shaking hands. I told you. Investigative journalist. Used to cover organized crime for the Tribune until I got too close to the truth. He pulled out a worn notebook. I've been following the Moretti family for 3 years, trying to expose them. Then your baby girl disappeared, and suddenly 2 different groups are tearing the city apart. 2 groups. Dante Moretti, the Mafia boss, her father, he's searching too. But he's not trying to kill her. Jonah's eyes were haunted. His brother Luca is. The men who chased you tonight? They work for Luca. Amara held Lily tighter. Why would an uncle want his niece dead? Succession. Jonah exhaled smoke. Moretti family rules are ironclad. Leadership passes through bloodline. As long as Dante has an heir, Luca can't take over. But if something happened to the baby, tragically of course, and maybe to Dante shortly after, Luca becomes king. So, he tried to kill her in the hospital. He had an insider nurse inject something to stop her heart. Make it look like SIDS. But something went wrong, maybe the dosage, maybe timing. Someone panicked and dumped her in that alley, hoping she'd die from exposure before anyone found evidence. Jonah's face darkened. They didn't count on you. Amara looked down at Lily, who gazed back with those trusting eyes. This tiny girl was a threat to a criminal empire, simply by existing. We need to get you both out of the city, Jonah said. I have contacts. No, Amara's voice was firm. We need to get her to her father. Are you insane? Dante Moretti is a monster. He's killed more people than you've served vegetables. He runs drugs, weapons, human trafficking. But he's not trying to kill his daughter. Luca is. Amara stood on shaking legs. You said it yourself, Dante needs her alive. That makes him the safest person in this city for her. Safe. Jonah laughed bitterly. You'll be trading her from one nightmare to another. Dante will raise her in that world, teach her to be like him. She'll be alive to have choices. Amara's eyes burned. Right now, she has none. Every hour I keep her, Luca's men get closer. I can't protect her.
I am no Ubedi.
I have nothing. You have love. That's something Dante Moretti doesn't understand. Then maybe she'll teach him. Amara started walking toward the main street. How do I contact him? Jonah grabbed her arm.
Wait.
Think about this. Once you hand her over, you'll never see her again. You'll just be the poor woman who found his daughter. He might even kill you to eliminate witnesses. The words hit like bullets, but Amara had already considered this. Every possibility, every outcome. Then I die knowing she lived. That's enough. Something in her voice made Jonah stop arguing. He studied her face in the growing dawn light, seeing something that made him nod slowly. You really love her. After 2 days. After 2 seconds, Amara's voice cracked. The moment I saw her in that alley, I was hers. Completely. Jonah was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out a card, different from the one the men had distributed at the market.
Marco Silvestri.
Dante's right hand. Most loyal man in the organization. I have his direct number from my investigation. If anyone can get you safely to Dante, it's him. Why are you helping me? Because I've spent years documenting Dante's crimes, and I've never once seen him hurt a child. Adults? He's ruthless. But kids? That's his one line. Jonah flicked his cigarette away. And because someone should know what really happened here. Your story deserves to be told. I don't want a story. I want her safe. Can't always get what we want. He wrote a number on the back of the card. But first, we need to move. Luca's men will have traced us to this area by now. There's a bus terminal 3 blocks east. Get on any bus heading north. Doesn't matter where. Just get distance. They hurried through waking streets, past early morning workers who didn't look twice at them. 2 more desperate people in a city full of them. At the terminal, Jonah pressed money into Amara's hand. 200. It's all I have. Buy tickets, food, whatever you need. Come with us.
Can't.
I'm going to lead them away. Buy you time, he smiled sadly. Besides, someone needs to survive to write the story. Before Amara could argue, he was gone, disappearing into the crowd like smoke. She looked down at Lily, then at the card in her hand. "Time to meet your father, little one," she whispered. "God help us both." The abandoned factory on the city's edge smelled of rust and broken dreams. Amara sat on a crate, feeding Lily formula she'd bought at the terminal, watching shadows lengthen through shattered windows. She'd taken 3 different buses, doubled back twice, and walked the final 2 miles on foot. Her phone, a cheap prepaid she had for years, sat on the crate beside her. Marco's number glowed on the screen. All she had to do was press call. Her thumb hovered over the button. "What am I doing?" she whispered to Lily. "What if I'm wrong? What if Dante is worse than Luca?" Lily's hand wrapped around her finger, and Amara's heart shattered for the 100th time. Footsteps echoed through the factory. Amara jumped up, clutching Lily, ready to run. "Don't!" Jonah emerged from the shadows, limping badly. Blood soaked through his jacket. "It's just me." "Oh God." Amara rushed to him as he collapsed against a support beam. "You said you were leading them away." "I did." They caught up, he grimaced, pressing his hand against his side. "Luca's men. 3 of them."
I handled it.
"Barely. You need a hospital."
No hospitals.
They're watching them all. He pulled out a flask, took a long drink, and poured some over his wound. His scream echoed through the empty space. Lily started crying. Amara rocked her gently. "Sure, baby. It's okay. We're okay." "You haven't called yet," Jonah observed, nodding at the phone.
I'm scared.
"Good. Fear keeps you smart," he managed a weak smile. "But let me tell you something about Dante Moretti. I've investigated him for 3 years. I've interviewed his victims, his enemies, his former allies. You know what I learned?" Amara waited. "He's a monster. But he's a monster with a code." Jonah's voice was fading. "He doesn't hurt kids. Ever. When rival families use children as leverage, he burned those families to the ground, but he saved the kids first. Put them in foster care, set up trust funds anonymously." He coughed, and blood flecked his lips. "The man who wants to kill you for disrespect? He won't touch his daughter. He'll die for her." "How do you know?" "Because I saw him at the hospital the night she was born. I was tailing him for a story." Jonah's eyes grew distant. The way he looked at her through the nursery window. "I've never seen anything like it. Pure love. The kind that redeems monsters. Or creates worse ones." "Maybe." He pushed himself upright with a groan. "But here's what I do know. If you don't call that number, Luca finds you eventually. And when he does, all 3 of us die. You, me, and that baby." Amara looked at Lily's perfect face. 4 days old, and already she'd survived attempted murder, fever, and a chase across rooftops. She deserved better than running forever. Better than hiding in factories with strangers. She deserved her father. Even if her father was the devil. "Okay," Amara whispered. She picked up the phone and dialed. It rang once. "Who is this?" The voice was hard, dangerous.
Marco Silvestri.
A pause. "Who's asking?" "My name is Amara. I have something that belongs to Dante Moretti. Something he lost 3 days ago." The silence on the other end was deafening. Then, "Don't say another word on this line." "Where are you?" "Old factory. East side. Near the—" "I know it. Stay there. Don't move. Don't call anyone else." His voice dropped. "Is she alive?" Amara looked at Lily, who had fallen asleep mid-feeding.
Yes.
"She's perfect. 30 minutes. If anyone else shows up first, run. Understand? Even if they claim to be with us. Run." The line went dead. Jonah laughed weakly.
Well.
"No going back now." "I never could." Amara sat beside him, Lily in her arms. "From the moment I found her, there was no going back." "You're a fool." "I know." They waited in silence as darkness fell completely. Amara's mind raced through every terrible possibility. What if Marco betrayed them? What if Luca's men intercepted the call? What if Dante took Lily and killed them both to eliminate witnesses? What if she'd just condemned them all? 28 minutes later, headlights cut through the factory windows. One vehicle. Black SUV. Jonah tried to stand, his hand moving to a gun Amara hadn't known he was carrying. "Stay behind me." The door opened. A man stepped out, tall, broad-shouldered, moving with lethal grace. Behind him, 4 more men fanned out, weapons ready. But it was the 6th man who made Amara's blood freeze. Dante Moretti stepped into the light, and his eyes, dark as midnight, burning with barely controlled violence, locked onto the bundle in Amara's arms. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Dante Moretti, the most feared man in the city, dropped to his knees. "My daughter," he breathed, and his voice broke on the words. "You found my daughter." The meeting didn't go as Amara expected. Dante hadn't taken Lily by force, hadn't threatened them. Instead, he'd listened, really listened, as Amara explained finding her in the alley, the fever, the men hunting them. His face remained carved from stone, but his hands trembled when she placed Lily in his arms. "She needs her father," Amara had said. "Not me." "She needs both," Dante replied, and the certainty in his voice terrified her more than any threat could. Now, 20 hours later, Amara sat in a train station cafe nursing cold coffee while Dante's men arranged safe transport to his compound. Jonah sat across from her, his wound properly bandaged by Dante's personal doctor. Lily slept in a carrier strapped to Amara's chest. Dante had insisted she stay with the baby until they reached safety. "This feels wrong," Amara muttered. "He's being too reasonable." "He's a strategist," Jonah said. "He knows forcing you would make you an enemy. This way you come willingly. You trust him. You become loyal." "I'm not staying with them, aren't you?" Jonah's eyes were knowing. "You couldn't hand her over at the factory. You think you can walk away at his mansion?" Before Amara could answer, Jonah's expression changed. He was looking past her shoulder, and the color drained from his face. "We need to leave.
Now."
"What?" "Don't turn around. Just walk. Slowly." But Amara had already seen them in the reflection of the cafe window. 3 men in tactical gear, moving through the crowd with predatory focus. Luca's soldiers. How did they find us? Amara's heart hammered. "Doesn't matter. Move." They stood and walked toward the platform, trying to blend with the commuter crowd. Behind them, the men accelerated. They'd been spotted. "Platform 7, Jonah said urgently. "Train to the north side. Dante's men are waiting there." "Stop." A command rang out. People screamed and scattered. One of Luca's men had drawn a weapon. "Run." Jonah shoved Amara toward the platform stairs. She ran, clutching Lily to her chest, weaving through panicked travelers. Gunshots cracked, impossibly loud in the enclosed space. Someone screamed. Amara didn't look back. Platform 7. The train was there, doors starting to close. She sprinted, sliding through the gap just as the doors sealed. Only then did she turn. Jonah wasn't on the train. Through the window, she saw him on the platform, blood spreading across his chest, facing down 2 of Luca's men. He was shouting something, drawing their attention, giving her time.
"No," Amara whispered. "No, no, no."
The train lurched forward. Jonah collapsed to his knees, and the last thing Amara saw before the tunnel swallowed them was him smiling, actually smiling, as if he'd finally done something worth dying for. She sank into a seat, tears streaming down her face. Lily stirred against her chest, waking up. "He saved us," Amara whispered. "He barely knew us, and he died for us." Her phone buzzed. "Marco, where are you?" She typed back with shaking fingers. "On the train. Jonah's dead. They found us." The response was immediate. "Get off at Central Station. We'll intercept. Do not go to the end of the line." But the train didn't stop at Central Station. It blew past the platform, picking up speed. Amara's blood turned cold. She looked around the car, half empty, most passengers in the other sections. And near the front, she saw him. One of Luca's men, speaking into a radio. They'd been on the train all along. The overhead speakers crackled. "Attention passengers. Due to security concerns, this train will proceed directly to Millbrook Station. All intermediate stops are cancelled." Millbrook. The edge of the city. Empty warehouses and industrial zones. The perfect place to disappear someone. Amara's hands shook as she texted Marco. They're on the train. Taking me to Millbrook. Stall them. We're coming. Stall them? She was trapped in a metal tube moving 60 miles per hour with a hitman 20 feet away and a baby in her arms. The man started walking toward her, his hand inside his jacket. Amara stood, clutching Lily, and moved to the opposite end of the car. The connecting door to the next car was locked. She was cornered. Amara, isn't it? The man smiled. He was young, maybe 25, with cold eyes that had seen too much death. That's a pretty baby. Be a shame if something happened to her. Stay back. Can't do that. My orders are clear. He pulled out a knife instead of a gun. Quieter, cleaner. Mr. Luca wants this done quietly. You can make it easy or... The train lurched violently. Emergency brakes screamed. The man stumbled, and Amara saw her chance. She grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall and swung it with everything she had. It connected with his skull. He went down hard, but as he fell, his radio crackled. All units converge on Millbrook. The woman thinks she's trapped. Let's end this. The train was slowing, entering Millbrook Station, where an army waited. Amara didn't wait for the train to stop. She pried open the emergency window and climbed out onto the platform while the train was still moving, clutching Lily against her chest. She hit the concrete running, stumbling but not falling. Behind her, the train screeched to a halt. Doors hissed open. Shouting erupted. Millbrook Station was a ghost town, abandoned platforms and rusted tracks stretching into darkness.
No computers. No witnesses.
Just Amara and the hunters closing in. She ran toward the exit stairs, but 3 men blocked her path. She pivoted toward the tracks, jumping down onto the gravel. Sharp stones cut through her worn shoes, but she kept moving, heading for the old bridge she'd spotted, a pedestrian crossing over the river. There, cut her off. Flashlight beams swept through the darkness. At least 7 men now, maybe more. They moved like a pack, coordinating, herding her toward the bridge.
Toward a dead end.
Amara's lungs burned as she climbed the stairs to the bridge. The river churned below, dark water reflecting city lights from the distant skyline. The bridge swayed under her feet, old metal groaning. She reached the center and stopped. Nowhere left to run. Luca's men emerged from both ends of the bridge, weapons drawn. They had her surrounded. The young man she'd hit with a fire extinguisher pushed through, blood streaming down his face, murder in his eyes. You're done. Please, Amara said, her voice breaking. She's just a baby. She never hurt anyone. That's exactly the problem. A new voice cut through the night. An older man stepped forward, 50s, expensive suit, cold smile. As long as she lives, she's a threat. Nothing personal, sweetheart. Just business. You're Luca, Amara breathed. Smart girl. Shame about what happens next. He raised his hand to signal his men. Headlights exploded across the bridge from both ends. Engines roared. Black SUVs screeched to a halt, and armed men poured out like a flood. Dante soldiers. Step away from them. Marco's voice boomed through a megaphone.
Now, Luca laughed.
Or what? You'll start a war in the middle of the city? Police are 3 minutes away. We're all going down. Then we go down together. Dante Moretti stepped into the light, and even Luca's men flinched. He was fury incarnate, death walking on 2 legs. But I promise you, brother, you'll die first. Brother, Luca's smile widened. Still so sentimental. That's always been your weakness. My daughter isn't a weakness. She's my legacy. She's an obstacle. Luca pulled out a gun, aiming it at Amara. And obstacles get removed. Time stopped. Amara stared down the barrel of the gun, Lily pressed against her heart. This was it.
The end.
At least they'd die together. Wait. The word tore from Dante's throat. Take me instead. Let them go, and I'll surrender. You'll get what you always wanted, control of the family. Luca's eyes gleamed. Tempting. but we both know you'd find a way back. As long as your daughter lives, you'll always be a threat." His finger tightened on the trigger. "So she dies first. Then you. Then I inherit everything clean." "You'll inherit nothing but hell," Amara said quietly. Something in her voice made everyone pause. She looked directly at Luca, and despite her fear, despite everything, her voice didn't waver.
"I'm nobody.
"Just a poor woman who sells vegetables. But I've spent 5 days with your niece. 5 days of feeding her, protecting her, loving her." Tears streamed down her face. "And you know what I learned? She's stronger than all of you. She survived your poison. Survived the cold. Survived the fever. She survived because she refuses to die." Touching speech, Luca's aim didn't waver. "Won't stop the bullet." "No," Amara agreed. "But it will stop you from ever sleeping peacefully again. Because you'll know you murdered an infant. Your own blood. You think you'll take power? You'll take nothing but guilt and nightmares. I don't have a conscience." "Then you've already lost," Amara straightened, holding Lily up where everyone could see her. The baby's eyes were open, alert, watching everything with that unnerving intelligence. "Look at her. Really look. She's not an obstacle. She's a human being. And every person on this bridge will witness what you do next." Luca's men shifted uncomfortably. Some lowered their weapons. Even monsters had lines they wouldn't cross, and killing a baby in cold blood while dozens watched was a line too far. "This is your choice," Dante said softly. "Murder her and become something even our family won't forgive. Or walk away. I'll give you 24 hours to leave the city. After that, you hunt me," Luca laughed bitterly. "Some choice. It's more than you gave my daughter." Silence stretched across the bridge. The river churned below. Sirens wailed in the distance, police finally responding. Luca lowered his gun. "This isn't over," he said. "Yes," Dante replied. "It is."
Luca lied.
Of course he lied. Men like him didn't walk away. They regrouped, recalculated, and struck when you thought you were safe. Amara should have known. She'd spent the night at one of Dante's safe houses, a fortified apartment in the financial district with guards at every entrance. Dante had insisted she stay close until Luca left the city. "Just one more day," he'd promised. "Then you're free to go." But Amara had seen his face when he held Lily. The way his mask cracked, revealing something vulnerable underneath. Dante Moretti didn't want her to leave. He wanted her to stay forever. The woman who'd saved his daughter when his entire empire couldn't. She was feeding Lily at dawn when the explosion hit. The windows shattered inward. Amara threw herself over Lily, glass raining down like deadly snow. Smoke filled the room. Screams echoed from the hallway. Dante's guards, dying. No, no, no. Amara grabbed Lily and ran for the bathroom, the only room without windows. She locked the door, her hands shaking so badly she could barely hold the baby. Gunfire erupted.
Close.
Too close. "Find the woman." A voice she recognized, Luca's. "Find the baby." He'd brought an army. A final, desperate assault. If he couldn't have the empire, no one would. The bathroom door exploded off its hinges. 2 men in tactical gear entered, weapons raised. Amara pressed herself into the corner, shielding Lily with her body. "Please," she whispered. "Please don't." The first man stepped forward, and that's when she saw it, a letter opener on the bathroom counter, probably used for opening expensive soaps. Amara grabbed it without thinking and drove it into the man's thigh. He screamed, stumbling back. His partner aimed at her, but hesitated. Killing an unarmed woman holding a baby wasn't easy, even for a mercenary. That hesitation killed him. Dante appeared in the doorway like an avenging angel, gun blazing. Both men dropped. He stepped over their bodies, his eyes finding Amara. "You hurt." She shook her head, unable to speak. "Stay here." Marco's evacuating the building. Another explosion rocked the apartment. "We're moving you now." But as they emerged into the hallway, Luca himself stepped from the smoke, gun pressed against Marco's head. "Hello, brother," Lucas said, smiling. Drop your weapon, or your loyal dog dies. Dante's gun clattered to the floor. Smart, Lucas shoved Marco aside and aimed at Dante instead. You know what's funny? I actually thought I could walk away. Thought I could start over somewhere else. But then I realized I don't want to start over. I want what's mine. What should have been mine from the beginning. The family chose me, Dante said quietly. Father chose me. Father chose wrong. Luca's composure cracked. I was smarter. More ruthless. Better. But you were older, so you got everything. His eyes shifted to Lily. Now I'm taking it back. He swung the gun toward Amara. Amara didn't think. She'd spent her whole life being careful, being invisible, being safe. But in that moment, facing the barrel of a gun for the second time in 12 hours, something inside her snapped. She stepped forward, placing herself directly between Luca and Lily.
Shoot me, she said.
But you'll have to. Because I'm not moving. You think I won't? I think you've already lost. Amara's voice was steady now, powerful. You've spent 6 days trying to kill one baby, and you've failed every time. The poison didn't work. The alley didn't work. Your men didn't work. And now you're here, pointing a gun at a woman who has nothing to lose. Do you know what that makes you? Powerful. Pathetic. Luca's face twisted with rage. His finger tightened on the trigger. Dante moved faster than should have been humanly possible. He grabbed a piece of shattered glass from the floor and drove it into Luca's neck in one smooth motion. Luca's gun fired, but the shot went wild. He clutched his throat, blood pumping between his fingers, eyes wide with disbelief. You were my brother, Dante said, his voice breaking. I would have shared everything with you. All you had to do was wait. Be patient. Be loyal. Luca collapsed, his life draining onto expensive carpet. His last words were barely a whisper. Should have been me. Then he was gone. The apartment fell silent except for the crackle of flames. Dante stood over his brother's body, and for a moment, Amara saw the weight of what he'd done crushing him. He gave me no choice, Dante said, though no one had asked. I know. Amara touched his arm gently. He was going to kill us all. Dante looked at her, then at Lily sleeping peacefully through the chaos.
His daughter, alive.
His empire, secured. His brother, dead by his own hand.
The debt I owe you, he began.
You owe me nothing, Amara interrupted. I did what any decent person would do. I saved a child. No, Dante's eyes burned with intensity. You saved my soul. The mansion looked like something from a movie, marble columns, manicured gardens, fountains that probably cost more than Amara's entire neighborhood. She stood at the entrance, Lily in her arms, feeling impossibly small. You don't have to decide today, Dante said beside her. He'd changed into a fresh suit, but Amara could still see the weight of yesterday in his eyes. Killing your brother left scars that expensive clothes couldn't hide. Decide what? Whether to stay, he gestured to the sprawling estate. As Lily's caretaker. Nanny, guardian, whatever title makes you comfortable. I'll pay you well. Give you your own wing of the house. You'll want for nothing. I've wanted for nothing my whole life, Amara said quietly. It teaches you what really matters. And what's that?
Love. Safety.
Someone who chooses you. She looked down at Lily, who watched her with those impossibly dark eyes. She chose me in that alley. Before she could even understand what choosing meant, Dante nodded slowly. She's lucky you found her. I'm lucky she let me. Amara took a deep breath. But I need to understand something. What kind of life will she have here? What kind of man will raise her? A complicated one. Dante didn't lie or deflect. I've done terrible things. I'll do more terrible things. I run an empire built on violence and fear, he paused. But I'm trying to be better than my father was. Better than Luca. The family business, I want to move it legitimate.
Slowly, carefully.
So that by the time Lily's old enough to understand, she inherits something she can be proud of. That could take years. Decades. I have time now. Thanks to you, he turned to face her fully. I won't lie to you, Amara. This world, is dangerous. There will always be enemies, always be threats. But I will burn this city to ash before I let anyone hurt my daughter again. And if you stay, if you become part of this family, that protection extends to you. I don't need protection. I need purpose. Then give her one. Dante nodded toward Lily. Give her someone who remembers what kindness looks like. Someone who isn't tainted by this life. Be the light in her darkness. Amara walked through the mansion's entrance, her worn shoes squeaking on polished marble. A woman in a crisp uniform approached, the head housekeeper, Maria, ready to show her around. But Amara stopped in the grand foyer, turning back to Dante. I have conditions. His eyebrow raised. Bold. I'm not bold.
I'm terrified.
But I'm also the only person standing between you and your daughter right now, which gives me leverage. Her voice strengthened. So here are my terms. Lily goes to normal school. Not private tutors, not isolated education. Real school with real children. Agreed. She learns about the world outside these walls. Volunteering, charity work, seeing how normal people live. Agreed. And when she's old enough to ask questions about what you do, you answer honestly. No lies. No protecting her from the truth. Dante's jaw tightened. That could make her hate me, or it could make her understand you. Amara shifted Lily to her other arm. Children aren't stupid. They know when adults are hiding things. The lies hurt more than the truth ever could. For a long moment, Dante said nothing. Then, you're not what I expected. What did you expect? Someone grateful. Someone intimidated. Someone who'd take my money and ask no questions. He smiled. Genuinely smiled, for the first time since she'd met him. Instead, I get someone who negotiates like a rival boss and cares more about my daughter's character than her safety. Her character will keep her safer than any army. Amara's eyes met his. I've been poor my entire life. I've seen what happens when people have everything except values. They become hollow.
Cool.
Like Luca. The name hung between them, a ghost neither could exorcise. I don't want to become him, Dante admitted quietly. I don't want my daughter to become him either. Then don't raise her to be powerful. Raise her to be good. Can someone be both? We're about to find out. Amara walked deeper into the mansion, following Maria toward what would become her new suite, rooms larger than her entire apartment, with a nursery already prepared for Lily. Everything was perfect, pristine, and utterly foreign. But as she laid Lily in the expensive crib, watching her tiny fingers reach up toward the mobile of crystal stars, Amara felt something she hadn't felt in years.
Hope.
She'd walked into that alley with $53 and an empty future. She'd walked out with a purpose worth dying for. Now she stood in a mansion built on blood and secrets, holding a baby who'd survived impossible odds, working for a man who terrified the entire city. It was insane. Dangerous. Probably the worst decision she'd ever made. But as Lily grabbed her finger and held on tight, Amara knew she'd make the same choice 1,000 times over. Welcome home, Maria said softly from the doorway. Home. The word felt strange. Foreign. But as Dante appeared beside them, watching his daughter with wonder and fear and desperate love, Amara understood something profound. Home wasn't a place. It was the people you'd risk everything to protect. And she'd just found hers. 7 years later, Lily Moretti would ask her father why a poor vegetable vendor lived in their mansion like family. Dante would smile and say, because she saved my life, and when Lily asked how, he'd look at Amara across the breakfast table and reply, by reminding me what it means to be human. But that's another story. This one, the story of how a kind poor woman saved a baby girl and changed the fate of an empire, ends here, with a new beginning.